Savanna's most brutal conflict, nomads fight to survive. People often refer to them as kings, but in this unforgiving landscape, a crown is merely a burden without an army to back it up. A nomadic male lion, Solitude is not a lifestyle choice. When a male lion is cast out from the pride, it is a whole new ballgame. The hunting success rate for a coalition of lions can reach 30%, but for a lone wanderer, that figure drops by more than half. His focus today is a herd of Cape buffalo. A mature bull weighs nearly 900 kilograms with horns capable of piercing the hide of any hunter. Savanna. In this place, nature does not build life based on compassion, but on the most rigorous selection. Seen from space, it is a magnificent tapestry of light and dust, but within, energy is constantly recycled through the pursuit and the final transition. Those who find themselves separated from the group are forced to face a stark reality. When the sun rises, they must hit the ground running to outpace the fastest pursuer or stand stronger than the most assertive challenger. Next, let us observe the lone wanderers, beings that have chosen or were forced into a position where they must face the unyielding nature of the grasslands against all odds without any assistance. If you think a hungry lion is the most daunting sight on the plains, you might want to think twice before crossing paths with an African elephant in a state of must. This is a real-life version of the Incredible Hulk, and it stems from a chemical surge from within. These male elephants are often solitary wanderers. Unlike the peaceful image of a herd guided by a matriarch, the males typically strike out on their own once they reach maturity. They roam or form loose associations until they find a group of females during the breeding season. But what if the breeding season arrives and they have not found their special someone? It is a difficult situation. Must is a recurring biological phenomenon in mature males, and it makes them a force to be reckoned with for anyone or anything that enters their field of vision. During this phase, the testosterone levels in this giant's bloodstream can soar to 60 times the normal amount. It is like drinking 100 cups of espresso all at once, while feeling incredibly intense. In its mind right now, the entire world is a potential adversary, especially when it encounters a worthy opponent. At this stage, the elephant's brain chemistry is heavily influenced by hormones, making them tough as nails as they lose the ability to register physical discomfort. If the grasslands are the stage for open pursuits, then the river is a theater of deception. As we approach the end of 2025, hydrological studies in the sub-Saharan Africa region show that rivers are becoming more unpredictable due to extreme weather patterns. Water sources are receding, turning the remaining watering holes into mandatory gathering points. This is known as the edge effect, a place where species density reaches its peak and where the frequency of heightened conflict is off the charts. In this place, the rules of the dry land go out the window. The agility of an antelope or the teamwork of a pack of wild dogs are rendered useless. That calm surface provides absolute concealment for jaws capable of immense pressure that are simply in a league of their own. This is not just a creature. It is a flawless biological design that has endured for over 200 million years without needing to change the blueprint. With the length of a small bus and weighing nearly 700 kilograms, this titan is the definition of quiet, patient resolve. We often see them sunbathing together on the sandbanks, but do not let that communal appearance pull the wool over your eyes. Nile crocodiles are extreme individualists. Unlike the pack of wild dogs standing regretfully on the shore, those who value teamwork, this Nile crocodile is a lone gladiator. Crocodiles have the ability to slow their heart rate to just a few beats per minute and remain concealed underwater for hours on end. Their backs are covered in osteoderms, small bony plates that act as armor and a way to regulate body temperature. But the true equipment lies in the jaws. When they snap shut, the pressure creates a force of up to 260 kilograms per square centimeter. To help you visualize, that power is 30 times stronger than a heavyweight boxer's punch and is enough to splinter the femur of a large greater kudu with the greatest of ease. The poor kudu thought the water would provide sanctuary from the sharp teeth of the dogs, unaware that she had just crossed paths with a being possessing the most powerful bite on the planet. In this river, there is no room for sympathy. There is only stillness, the snap, and a total disappearance beneath the murky depths. The crocodile does not need to chase its meal to the point of exhaustion. It simply waits for the world to bring the meal on a silver platter. A harsh arrangement of fate, is it not? If solitude for a lion is a sentence, for an African wild dog, it is a profound psychological struggle. Imagine you are part of the world's most precise Swiss watch mechanism, and suddenly you find yourself out of gear. This wild dog is facing something even more daunting than physical marks. Broken heart syndrome, or what medical professionals call Takotsubo syndrome in animals. African wild dogs thrive on incredibly tight social connections. When separated from the pack, cortisol levels in their blood soar, weakening the immune system and reflex capabilities. It is not just hurting from the marks upon its skin, it is slowly losing its way due to the weight of solitude. And when you falter, the pursuers appear immediately. The spotted hyena. These are not merely scavengers. They are the most resilient opportunists of the plains. Nature is quite unyielding when it comes to serving its own brand of justice. The massive crowd will continue to march on, never looking back, leaving behind the companion who has just become a lone figure. As the dry season approaches, they must step on it to pursue the cooling rains. From this perspective, the migration is not the journey of a collective group, but rather millions of individual struggles unfolding at the same time. We will witness how the hunters select their black sheep, transforming a bustling scene of life into a theater of absolute solitude. The objective for today is the zebra. You shouldn't judge a book by its cover when it comes to those black and white stripes, as these creatures are muscular running machines that truly mean business. A kick from a zebra's hind leg carries enough force to shatter a seeker's jaw if they aren't on their toes. In the world of the lion, the females are the architects of the strategy. Just take a look at how they go about their business. While the rest of the zebras carry on as if it were business as usual, one of their own has transitioned into the vital nourishment that fuels the next generation of lions. There is no sentiment involved here, only the grand design of biological balance that keeps everything on an even keel. If lions are the tanks, then cheetahs are the Formula One racing cars of the Savanna, truly in a league of their own. But to reach a speed of 100 kilometers per hour, that remarkable ability comes at a cost. Take a look at this cheetah coalition. They head out to find a meal during the height of the midday sun, while every other seeker is taking a breather and relaxing beneath the shade of a tree. They want to make the most of the window when the coast is clear of any potential friction. During the noon hours, prominent seekers like lions or hyenas usually take it easy, which makes it much less likely that a meal will be disturbed by others. This is a coalition. However, the fact that they do not arrive together and engage in scuffles over a meal suggests they are not on the same page like other alliances. This is typical of coalitions formed by nomadic males who are strangers to one another. These alliances usually consist of only 2 to 3 males, forming a looser bond that is prone to disagreements. It is a marriage of convenience, built more on necessity than on affection. They need one another to stand against other groups eyeing their territory. Yet when a meal is present, their royal instincts come to the forefront. These skirmishes are necessary to re-establish the social hierarchy. Science refers to this as intra-coalition competition. The victor gets to call the shots and claim the most nutritious portions to maintain his physical edge. If one sustained a significant injury during this internal struggle, the entire alliance would fall apart and they would soon be replaced by a younger, stronger pair. It is a delicate balance, much like walking a tightrope. One must be powerful enough to dominate a companion, yet wise enough not to permanently harm them. A complex puzzle is unfolding right here on this dusty grass. Still, this is not nearly as somber as the story taking place in the receding watering hole. If there ever were a candidate for the title of the most unfortunate youngster in Africa, it would be this little fellow right here. A young hippopotamus separated from its mother during the dry season. For a creature whose sensitive skin requires constant hydration, being stranded on land under this sun can lead to the end of one's journey. But the hardship does not end there. Just look at what he must endure. A hippopotamus's skin may be thick, but it is extremely susceptible to microbes if it becomes abraded in these parched, sweltering conditions. This little one has been holding his own like a true warrior, enduring dozens of nips and shoves. But the reality is, his chances of pulling through are slim to none. Without mother's milk to provide vital protection, his skin is cracking from dehydration, and his injuries are beginning to decline under the presence of swarming flies. He is fighting an uphill battle. His resilience is truly admirable, but nature does not hand out trophies for effort. Nature only recognizes the final outcome. And here, sadly, the outcome was determined the moment he drifted away from his mother's side. A solitary warrior might just run out of steam before ever having the chance to become a titan of the river. The rainy season arrives. It brings more than just gentle raindrops. It carries a force that can level everything in its path. At this moment, the river becomes a profound challenge for survival. It is a liquid giant ready to sweep away anyone without enough weight to hold their ground. The unexpected occurs. The mother uses her powerful trunk to keep her little one close. This is an urgent response from the central nervous system, where emotional intelligence and physical strength become one. One slip and they could both be lost to the stream. But resilience wins the day. The mother guides her calf close to the bank, safe and sound. But there is little sanctuary in the land of the nomadic male lions, whether it is the dry season or the lush rainy months. This young male possesses a golden mane. It would be quite a sight if he were the leader of a pride. However, he is still on his own. After wandering for many days, he catches the scent of a meal and draws near. An elder male lion is sharing a feast. This old gentleman no longer has the strength to challenge for the crown. He truly bit off more than he could chew. The youngster mistook the mercy shown to the elder as an open invitation for himself. The result? A decisive confrontation. Why such a stern response? Because the leader knows that a well-fed young competitor will grow strong. And a strong lion will soon return to give him a run for his money. Without food, the youngster will lose his edge, and the leader's position will remain secure. A victor rises, his mane soaked with rainwater and crimson, letting out a roar to claim his territory. The one who came up short, he must depart with marks of the struggle that might take many months to mend. That is, if he manages to pull through. Here, glory belongs only to the last man standing. A new day dawns. After the encounter with the wandering males, a member of the coalition has earned the approval of the lionesses. The pride is in need of a leader, and he is the cream of the crop. Why do the females accept him? Take a look at that mane. A dark and thick mane signifies high testosterone levels and even greater prowess in a struggle. In the eyes of the lionesses, he is the real deal to ensure the next healthy generation. Mating season is drawing near. This ascension occurs with surprising speed. These female hunters lower themselves to show their respect. It is a necessity to maintain the strongest bloodline. A new leader has emerged. The pride now has a new protector, one ready to stand his ground against anyone who dares to question the newly established order. Welcome the new sovereign to a position that is fit for a king. The migration season draws to a close, and the long-standing citizens of the Savanna are returning home. For a leopard, this is simply the revival of a world-class menu. With highly developed muscles in its shoulders and neck, a 60-kilogram leopard can carry a meal weighing twice its own body weight up 5 meters into a vertical tree. Why put in such an effort? Because he knows that down on the ground, a stern reality is lurking. The rewards of a perfect hunt can be taken away in the blink of an eye by those with greater power but less motivation to do the work. The leopard takes pride in its skill. It looks down on the world from above, enjoying its meal in absolute solitude, feeling like it is on top of the world. A quiet dominance, where a misstep by another is a gift for the hunter. As the migration returns, the lionesses cannot look the other way. They have waited for a very long time throughout the dry season for the moment when millions of others return to the plains. After having its meal claimed by a male lion and being encouraged to move along, our cheetah wanders into a whole new territory. It is like the rough side of the tracks, home to some truly gritty characters, baboons. These are some of the sharpest, most spirited, and most dedicated primates when it comes to keeping a score. A group of agitated baboons can turn a quiet afternoon stroll into a whole new ballgame. Why is that? Because baboons simply don't back down from a confrontation. They are equipped with canines measuring 5 centimeters long, actually outpacing those of a lion, and they follow a very disciplined military-like social order. If the cheetah is the definition of finesse, then this is a whole different animal of raw, unbridled power. The black rhino, a solitary giant with a temperament that is more of a wild card than the Wall Street stock market. Scientists have observed that even though their vision is nothing to write home about, as they cannot see anything clearly beyond 30 meters, their senses of smell and hearing function like high-grade military radar. An adult male requires at least 4 to 5 square kilometers to call his own. and he marks his territory by leaving a hefty deposit and then using his hind legs to scatter it across the surroundings. A rather pungent way of putting up a nameplate, but it certainly gets the job done. An impact from a rhino's horn can lead to deep health complications or internal fluid concerns. The individual who ends up behind the 8-ball during these territorial disputes may eventually become an opportunity for others, the scavengers. Scientific evidence reveals that for the spotted hyena, securing up to 70% of their own nourishment through active pursuit is simply par for the course. However, whenever a complimentary meal is on the table, they certainly won't look a gift horse in the mouth. With a bite force that rivals an industrial press, sturdy enough to break down the heavy femur of an elephant, they are truly nature's most efficient biological recycling units. The black-backed jackals are like the sharp-as-a-tack legal experts arriving at the scene of the event. They are not equipped to stand toe-to-toe with the hyenas, so they opt to skillfully whisk away small morsels instead. They are swift, daring, and always ready to seize the day when an opportunity appears. The coordination between the hyenas and jackals ensures that not a single milligram of protein is left to waste. But if you happen to think they are the final members of the cleanup crew, you are barking up the wrong tree. Just take a look up at the sky. Ature's very own high-altitude surveillance drones. Vultures can soar as high as 11,000 meters, matching the cruising altitude of a commercial airliner, just to catch a scent of things returning to the Earth. Their stomachs contain an acid so potent that it can neutralize even anthrax bacteria or rabies. They are the physicians who keep widespread health crises at bay for the entire Serengeti. As night falls, the Serengeti does not go to sleep. It simply changes shifts. The cleanup crews have finished their rounds, and territorial boundaries have been redrawn with marks of the struggle and distinct scents, a perfect cycle of matter and energy. But the wild world is not just about high-stakes confrontations or earthly remains. It is also home to citizens of pure beauty and extraordinary talents that we often miss the boat on. Take a little breather, because in the next chapter, we will go in search of the residents who bring a sense of wonder to the Savanna. Sit tight. The splendor of the Savanna is waiting for you just ahead. Beyond the massive migrations and the power struggles for the throne among the big cats, the Serengeti and the Masai Mara are also home to some very special citizens. They do not require massive herd sizes or absolute physical strength to make their mark on the map of survival. Every individual is a masterwork of design, a sophisticated piece of the puzzle within the most complex ecosystem on the planet. In this place, survival is defined by precision and tactics that have been refined down to a science. Take a look at that pristine white uniform contrasting with that chestnut brown cloak. The African fish eagle. Don't mistake this fellow for his distant North American cousin, the bald eagle. This bird possesses its own unique aura, the confidence of someone who knows they own some of the most prime real estate on the planet. Science never lies about the favor evolution has bestowed upon this species. The eyes of the African fish eagle have a cone cell density 5 times higher than that of a human, allowing it to see through the complex refraction of the water's surface from a height of 50 meters. But the real secret weapon isn't in the eyes, it's in the feet. Biological studies have shown that the undersides of their talons are covered with tiny spikes called spicules. Just imagine them as the non-slip spikes of a professional mountain climber. They allow him to maintain a firm grip on the slipperiest fish, even when the target tries to move vigorously with significant force. However, life at this riverside office isn't always a walk in the park. To maintain his status, the African fish eagle must be an expert in territorial psychology. See that dry branch over there? From this spot, he lets out a resonant call, a melody we call the voice of Africa. In reality, though, it's a formal announcement of territorial ownership for an individual or a pair. Field research at Lake Victoria shows that African fish eagle pairs remain loyal to each other for a lifetime. They also have the ability to coordinate efforts to encourage larger predators like the African harrier hawk or even the marabou stork to move along if they dare to venture near the nest. Precise down to the millisecond. That isn't luck. It's the result of a brain programmed to solve physics problems regarding angles and resistance. But even with all that talent, there is often more than meets the eye. The African fish eagle is a professional outlaw in its own right. If he spots a heron that has just secured a delicious fish, he won't hesitate to stage a daylight heist. Leaving behind the authoritative office of the Riverside Regional Director, we journey further inland, where the typical rules of subtlety are thrown out the window. In the Serengeti, if you don't possess the sheer strength to overshadow others, you must have an appearance that simply cannot be ignored. And right here, on the parched branches of the acacia thorns, we encounter a fellow who is doing exactly that in the loudest way possible. With at least 8 different shades of color across its body, this creature looks like the palette of an impressionist painter that has just been tipped over. Folks call them the jewels of the sky, but don't let that dapper appearance lead you astray. Behind those technicolor feathers is the heart of a true competitor, a punk rock character who is fearless to a fault. But why are they so radiant in a land filled with dust and camouflage? The answer lies in the concept of structural coloration. The brilliant turquoise on their wings doesn't just come from pigment, but from the way microscopic structures on the feathers interact with light. Even more fascinatingly, avian vision data indicates that the lilac-breasted roller has the capacity to see the ultraviolet spectrum. This means that to other birds, this stylish fellow is even more dazzling and prominent than what human eyes can perceive. It is a vibrant advertising system announcing, "I am in the pink of health, I have excellent genes, and this territory is mine." Not as flamboyant as the lilac-breasted roller, the secretary bird is renowned for its size, elegant appearance, and sharp abilities. With long black feathers extending from the back of its head, resembling the quill pens of a Victorian-era secretary, this creature possesses an unmistakable look. But don't let that office appearance pull the wool over your eyes. This is a professional specialist optimized for close-range interactions on the ground. While other birds of prey spend most of their time observing from above, the secretary bird chooses to walk dozens of miles every day like a persistent tracker, never missing a single inch of ground beneath its feet. A single strike from a secretary bird can generate an impact force of up to 195 newtons. Let's run the numbers. That figure is about 5 to 6 times the body weight of the bird itself. But what is truly remarkable is the speed. The strike occurs within 15 milliseconds. To give you a better picture, a human blink takes 150 milliseconds, which means this bird can deliver 10 high-impact strikes in the time it takes you to blink just once. The cobra, despite possessing reflexes among the fastest in the reptile world, is left completely at a loss. The cobra, despite possessing reflexes among the fastest in the reptile world, is left completely at a loss. Its nervous system simply doesn't have enough time to send a signal to react. The bone structure of the secretary bird's legs features a particularly high mineral density in the shin area, allowing them to absorb the counterforce from those heavy strikes without sustaining any harm. It is the perfect combination of a sledgehammer and the legs of a ballet dancer. A precision hunter who doesn't need sharp teeth or typical eagle talons. The secretary bird concludes its hunt with absolute precision and a calm, formidable demeanor. This bird is the very reflection of efficiency. It doesn't show off its strength unnecessarily, only delivering a strike when a successful outcome is in the bag. In the world of giants in the Serengeti, this secretary still knows how to make everyone look up, or rather look down with profound reverence from the height of those supermodel legs. Their existence is a testament that, in nature, sometimes the best way to reach the top is to keep your feet on the ground and be ready to sweep aside anything that stands in your way. If you think you have seen everything on these grasslands just because you have a pair of expensive binoculars, then you'd better brace yourself to be fooled. Out in the borderlands between the savanna and the dense forest, nature does not play a straightforward game. It plays a game of hide and seek. And in that game, there is a character who has elevated the act of vanishing into a sophisticated art form that makes even the most seasoned trackers second-guess their own vision. Let's welcome the greater kudu, the one folks call the ghost of the brush. In the world of antelopes, if the wildebeest are the noisy blue-collar workers, the greater kudu is the reclusive aristocrat. Just take a look at those horns. That is more than just a pair of horns. It is a spiral architectural masterpiece that can reach a length of 1 8/10 meters. To earn this majestic look, a male must spend at least 6 long years shaping them through 3 perfect twists. However, that magnificent headgear comes with a cost that is no picnic to manage. Imagine trying to navigate a 1950 Cadillac through a narrow New York City alleyway. That is exactly how a male kudu feels when weaving through the acacia thorns. To avoid getting hung up, they employ a technique that leaves behavioral scientists in awe. They tilt their chin up, tucking their horns flat against their back to glide through the tight spots. It is a contradictory blend of flashy size and unbelievable agility. The true secret to their survival over millions of years does not lie in those horns, but in their wardrobe. Those white vertical stripes are not there for fashion. They serve to break up the animal's physical outline in the dappled light of the open woodlands. An optical study from 2024 confirmed that at distances over 20 meters, the eyes of a lion or a leopard find it incredibly challenging to distinguish the form of a greater kudu from a background of dry branches. This fellow doesn't even need to make a run for it. He simply remains still and lets the laws of physics regarding light handle the rest. And let's not overlook those ears. These radar dishes can rotate 180 degrees independently to pick up even the most subtle frequencies. The latest auditory data indicates that the greater kudu is capable of detecting the snap of a dry twig from as far away as 500 meters when the air is still. To them, the world is not a series of pictures, but a highly detailed map of sounds. Once those ears pick up an unfamiliar signal, that entire 300-kilogram frame of muscle will vanish into the deep woods as smoothly as a puff of smoke, leaving the one giving chase scratching their head, wondering if they actually saw a living creature or just a trick of the Serengeti heat. Even their vocalization is a surprising departure from their noble appearance. It is the loudest bark among all the antelope species, a firm warning signal sent out to every resident of the thickets. But once that sound fades, a blanket of quiet immediately settles back over everything. The greater kudu will return to his shadows, continuing his life as the ultimate master of invisibility. Out in the Masai Mara, spotting a mature male kudu remains a true test of one's patience. They serve as a reminder that in a world full of those who like to blow their own horn regarding strength and speed, sometimes the ultimate winner is the one who knows how to stay quiet and blend into the void. An elegant, proud existence, yet always staying on your toes with every single breath. Moving away from the maze of thick thorns where the greater kudu keeps out of sight, we head out into the endless grasslands of the central Serengeti. Here, as the protective shadows of the trees fade away, the approach to staying safe must change, from staying hidden to maintaining a visible watch. When you no longer have thickets to retreat into, the best way to avoid being caught off guard is to be the one who sees everything coming. In these open plains, information is truly the most valuable currency. And if there is one creature that possesses the best intelligence network on the Savanna, it is this sentry wearing a deep purple coat. A genuine security expert, he has transformed ordinary mounds of earth into strategic watchtowers. Get to know the topi. If you spot a solitary termite mound on the prairie, there is a good chance you will see a topee perched proudly on top. He really takes the idea of being able to see for miles and runs with it. Why choose termite mounds? This is a perfect example of nature's optimization. From this elevation, the topee's line of sight extends for several kilometers, allowing him to notice faint dust clouds from a moving pride of lions or the silhouette of a cheetah lurking in the tall grass. But the termite mound is more than just an observation post. Thermodynamic data from early 2025 has uncovered a fascinating secret. The top of the mound is where the air circulation is at its best, helping this antelope lower its body temperature quickly and blow away those pestering flies. It is a perfect blend of high-level security and enjoying a bit of natural air conditioning. The topee's coat has a special structure that reflects ultraviolet rays, protecting them from the intense equatorial sun. But don't let this polished appearance convince you that he is just a model striking a pose. The topee is among the most exceptional endurance athletes on the planet. Unlike a cheetah that can only sustain a short burst of energy, the topee can maintain a speed of 80 kilometers per hour over surprisingly long distances. The latest biomechanical studies have analyzed their signature rocking horse gallop as a movement style that maximizes energy efficiency by utilizing the elastic recoil of their leg tendons. This means that even if a lion begins a pursuit, this sentry has more than enough time to finish his shift and vanish into the horizon as cool as a cucumber. And here is the most ironic part. The topee is a master of misleading information. A study published in late 2024 confirmed false alarm behavior in males. When a female intends to leave his territory, the male will stare intently into the bushes and let out a fake warning signal as if a hunter is lurking nearby. The female, feeling cautious, will return to the center of his domain. It is an incredibly sophisticated psychological tactic to pull a fast one and keep the beauty right where he wants her. It turns out that even in the Serengeti, politics and romance are full of elaborate schemes. Vigilance, speed, and a bit of craftiness. That is how the topee maintains his presence in the largest open spaces of the Masai Mara. He doesn't need the kudu's ability to vanish or the specialized tools of the secretary bird. This antelope chooses to stand tall, observing the world and managing his own path with an unlimited view. But keep an eye out, because while you are busy admiring this proud sentry, another hunter with a completely opposite set of skills is quietly preparing for their own performance right at the base of those mounds. When eyes are no longer the most dependable tool for making it through the day, nature activates another radar system that is far more sophisticated and responsive. If the topee is the ruler of the high ground, then our next resident is a master of the sounds that go unnoticed. Forget about those high-speed pursuits, because here we are about to witness a venture guided by ears capable of hearing even the heartbeat of a target deep beneath the soil. Just take a look at those ears. If you happen to think they look a bit oversized for a feline weighing 15 kilograms, you are on the money, and that is exactly what evolution intended. The serval is more than just a cat. It is a mobile military-grade recording device. Each of its ears is controlled by 22 separate muscles, allowing them to pivot 180 degrees to pinpoint the source of a sound with accuracy down to the millimeter. The most recent biological data from 2024 and early 2025 has revealed a staggering ability. The serval can pick up ultrasonic frequencies that rodents use for communication, sounds that are completely outside the hearing range of humans and most other big cats. To this sophisticated specialist, the Savanna isn't a picture, but a vivid three-dimensional sound map. He doesn't need to see his target. He just needs to hear their exact location amidst the thick layers of grass. This is where the magic of physics comes into play. The serval possesses the longest legs relative to body size of any feline species. This build allows them to perform radar leaps, launching 3 meters straight up without a head start and pouncing more than 4 meters forward in a single burst of energy. And all of its high-tech equipment isn't just for catching a few small rodents. Field studies in the Serengeti have recorded a success rate for the serval reaching an impressive 50%. For the sake of comparison, our mighty king lion only reaches a rate of about 17 to 19% during solo ventures. In other words, this fellow is a precision engineer of the landscape, more effective than any of the larger cats on the savanna. A refined specialist who never flaunts his presence with thunderous roars. He reigns in the shadows of the grass, where silence is the ultimate advantage. However, the savanna always has a few surprises up its sleeve. Right beneath those decaying mounds, another organization is operating under a completely different philosophy. In that world, the individual is secondary, and the true power lies in organized chaos. Get ready to meet the ones whose unity can make even a leopard shake in its boots. Out in the Serengeti, keeping quiet is the name of the game for those who prefer to go it alone. However, for a few other residents, making a lot of noise is actually their primary defense. When you weigh less than 2 kilograms and find yourself on the lower rungs of the food chain, you don't have the luxury of being a wallflower. Welcome to the world of the ones folks call the mafia of the plains. In this circle, the individual is a non-factor, and the group is everything. Meet the banded mongoose. Don't let that busy look and those high-pitched sounds, which might remind you of children at play, lead you down the garden path. This is one of the most organized and disciplined social structures in the Masai Mara region. While other species might struggle to find a balance between personal interests and the group, these banded mongooses have opted for a path of total synergy. In their neck of the woods, synchronization is much more than a technical term. Behavioral studies from 2024 in the Queen Elizabeth Protected Area recorded a remarkable occurrence, the phenomenon of simultaneous arrival. Within a group, nearly all the females will welcome their little ones on the exact same night. And why is that? It is a very effective psychological strategy. When all the young ones arrive at once, no mother can distinguish her own from the rest, ensuring that attention and protection are shared across the board. There is no playing favorites and no envy, only the continued presence of the next generation. It is a complete social support system built on the foundation of being anonymous. Over here is the position of a sentinel, the lookout. While the rest of the crew is busy turning over the earth for beetles or millipedes, at least one member will step up to serve as the radar. This role isn't set in stone. They trade places with an incredible sense of self-awareness. Science refers to this as cooperative foraging. The latest research released in early 2025 shows that the vocalizations of the banded mongoose are actually complex pieces of information. A soft hiss means an eagle is at the 2 o'clock position, while a low rumble indicates that a hyena is making its way over. They possess a structured language system that includes both vowels and consonants, allowing them to share specific details about the type of situation and how quickly they need to react. Take a look at the mobbing tactic, the group's way of standing their ground. This is when the mafia truly shows its teeth. Instead of becoming the focus of a hunt, they choose to become the ones causing a disturbance. By huddling into a single mass and moving in a rhythmic way, they create the illusion of one giant, many-headed, furry creature. This psychological approach is so effective that they frequently encourage predators 20 times their own weight to hit the road. Intelligent, determined, and very calculated, the banded mongoose is proof that evolution doesn't necessarily have to grant you a massive size to find your way to the top. Sometimes, all you need is a group of companions willing to stand together through thick and thin. But the dynamics on the prairie are never a one-way street. Group unity might help them face off against a leopard or an eagle, but when encountering a specialist with potent toxins and reflexes that go beyond normal biological limits, the typical rules might not apply. Right here, in the shadows of the rocks along the path, a meeting between the rule breaker and the master of toxins is quietly taking shape. While the mongoose band upholds the value of the collective, their opponent is the embodiment of absolute solitude. A nomad who is the real deal. No family, no allies, just himself and a chemical toolset that has been refined to perfection. When a sophisticated social system encounters a lone specialist, every rule about strength in numbers is put to the test where there is no room for error. Just look at those eyes. There is no hesitation and no second guessing. This is the snouted cobra. In the world of wandering hunters, he is a master of minimalism. He only needs a split second, a precise connection to introduce a highly potent neurotoxin into his opponent's system. Toxin researchers at the University of the Witwatersrand have analyzed the components of this species' venom in great detail. It is a complex blend of postsynaptic neurotoxins, capable of blocking acetylcholine receptors within the nervous system of those it encounters. The result? A complete relaxation of the respiratory muscles within just a few minutes. For most residents of the Serengeti, crossing paths with this nomad means reaching the end of the line. And this is where the encounter between the system and the individual begins to square off. You might ask yourself, why would a small creature like the mongoose dare to stand up to the master of toxins? The answer lies in one of the most spectacular biological arms races in history. Genetic data has confirmed that the mongoose possesses mutated nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. If you imagine the snake's venom as a master key that can open the door to the inevitable, then the mongoose's receptors have been fitted with a brand new lock. The toxin cannot take hold or cause a loss of movement. They are not entirely unaffected, but they have a highly effective biochemical shield that is second to none. On the Serengeti, being a loner grants you ultimate freedom and a formidable presence, but it also takes away your safety net when things go off track. However, don't be too quick to underestimate the wanderers. The transition of a nomad like this cobra is merely a single note in the symphony of survival. As his form returns to the earth, he begins one last journey, returning to the soil to nurture new life. Our quiet citizens have finished their shifts and are ready to call it a day. From the eagle director high above to the small-scale mafia on the ground, everyone has painted a picture of life that is full of contradictions, yet perfectly harmonious. But don't head out just yet, because as the sun fully sets, an eternal cycle will begin to come full circle. Together, we will witness the final chapter, where hope grows from what was lost and life begins from the very last breath of what has passed. After all the commotion of the chase and the stern realities of territorial disputes, the Serengeti returns to its most primal essence. The serenity of a fresh start. In the natural world, the passing of a soul is far from the end of the road. It is a graceful handoff, a vital offering that allows the energy of the wild to keep flowing. As the shadows fade and the first golden rays of dawn reach across the horizon, we are invited to witness the most magnificent marvel that evolution has ever brought to life. The next generation. These tiny souls carry the mantle to carry the torch and continue the story of this legendary land. Take a look at this little one. An ostrich chick. It is hard to believe that this tiny, wide-eyed ball of fluff will become the largest bird on our planet in just 18 months, standing up to 2.7 meters tall and weighing over 130 kilograms. But for now, it is one of the most delicate little souls out here on the Savanna. Its speckled down isn't a fashion mistake. It is a clever bit of camouflage that helps it blend right into the dry grass from above, staying under the radar of keen-eyed eagles and hawks. Despite being so small, these little ones are born and bred with the genes of world-class athletes from the very moment they hatch. Science shows us that the growth rate of a young ostrich is truly remarkable. They can grow an additional 25 centimeters every single month. It was born to run, and it will need to keep its pace to stay one step ahead of the quiet shadows that wait in the wings every day. In the world of premier hunters, life begins with an incredible sense of fragility. A lion cub is born completely sightless and weighs only about 1.5 kilograms. Yet beneath those cloudy blue eyes and wobbling steps lies the soul of a future king. Engaging in a game of chase with a mother's tail or nibbling the ears of the grown males is definitely not all fun and games. These are the first essential lessons in the art of the harvest and social harmony. The bonds formed within the pride at this stage will determine a male's ability to take the lead when he matures. However, the journey in the Masai Mara is quite a demanding one. only 1 in 8 cubs will reach the milestone of adulthood. Each step this little one takes across the savannah is a small victory for the collective protection of the family. When looking into those eyes, we see more than just innocence. We see the resilience of a species that has ruled the roost here for millions of years. If lions stand for power, the elephant is the true personification of wisdom and deep-rooted family ties. An elephant calf enters the world after 22 months in its mother's womb, the longest gestation period found anywhere in the animal kingdom. It is born into a village where every female in the herd is more than happy to lend a helping hand as a mother. Its trunk is a masterpiece of natural engineering, containing more than 40,000 muscle bundles. At this stage, the young one hasn't quite figured out how to use it yet. It will take many months to learn how to drink without a hiccup, or how to use that trunk to speak the language of the herd. Science has shown that elephants possess an incredibly well-developed hippocampus, which allows them to keep in mind the locations of water sources and migration paths through many generations. This little calf is doing more than just growing physically. It is absorbing a vast library of knowledge handed down from those who came before. Its presence is a testament to a sophisticated animal culture where affection and protection serve as the glue that keeps every link in the chain of life together. In these wide-open grasslands where there is nowhere to hide, a moment's delay can mean reaching the end of the road far too soon. A zebra foal is a natural-born athlete. The black and white stripes on its body are more than just a unique signature for its mother to recognize among thousands. They also serve as a visual puzzle that makes it hard for a hungry eye to get a fix on them. This little foal, despite having arrived only a few hours ago, already embodies the power of incredible adaptation. It is a symbol of life that is forever on the move, always pushing forward, regardless of the quiet mysteries that may be waiting in every croton thicket. And finally, from the deep shadows of the earth and the water's edge, another ancient life is also waking up. The Nile crocodile. We often think of these creatures as formidable figures during the Great Migrations, but there is definitely more than meets the eye when it comes to their beginnings, which start with one of the gentlest motherly acts in nature. When it is time to hatch, the young crocodiles, still nestled in eggs buried beneath the sand, will start calling out for their mother. The mother crocodile, a giant reaching 4 meters in length with jaws capable of 22,000 newtons of pressure, hears this call. This is a beautiful paradox. The very jaws that can easily handle the heavy weight of a wildebeest become the safest mode of transport for these tiny souls as they make their way to the water. Science identifies this as a rare maternal instinct among reptiles. Even though only about 1% of these hatchlings will reach adulthood against all odds to become the masters of the river, this moment reminds us of something special. Even in creatures that might seem quite stern, new life is always cherished and protected. The circle of life doesn't choose between the hunter and the hunted. It all begins with fragility and the need for a protective embrace. Taking in the big picture, we realize we aren't just outsiders or distant observers. We are an essential part of this eternal circle. The magic of the Serengeti isn't found in statistics or action-packed footage, but in the perfect balance that nature has spent millions of years fine-tuning. In the year 2025, as our world faces unprecedented changes, the duty of conservation is no longer just a charitable choice. It is a commitment to protecting our very roots. Protecting wildlife isn't about simply imposing restrictions. It is about creating the space for these stories of survival to go the distance. It is about ensuring that lion cubs still have lands to oversee, elephant herds still have safe corridors for their travels, and zebra foals still have lush green meadows to roam. Our presence on this planet should be that of dedicated caretakers rather than those who simply take what they want. After all, a world where the lion's roar or the elephant's heavy step fades away would be such a quiet and lonely place. Nature doesn't need us to stand on its own 2 feet, but we need its beauty and untamed spirit to remind ourselves what it truly means to live with compassion. The eternal cycle continues its graceful motion as the wheel keeps turning. Every day, the sun rises over the Serengeti, bringing with it new hopes and fresh journeys. The question is not whether the natural world can endure, but whether we have the courage to step up to the plate and walk alongside it in perfect harmony. Because at the end of the day, looking after nature is truly about safeguarding the most beautiful part of our own human spirit. We have just journeyed through the most raw glimpses into the lives of those who go it alone, the true nomad fighters of creation. Which creature in today's episode inspired you to change your perspective on the wilderness? Was it the true grit of the wanderers who have lost everything, or the cleverness of the drifters who stick to their guns and never back down? Please share your thoughts in the comment section about the indomitable spirit of the nomad warriors that left a mark on you. Your understanding is a heartfelt tribute to these free spirits. Remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons to tag along with me on my next field expeditions, where we will continue to decode the most mysterious survival secrets. Every bit of your support helps to back us up as we continue our journey tracking these great lone wanderers.